Dear learners, Assalamu alaikum. In this video lesson, we will discuss about two important topics which are chemical species and representative particles. After going through this video lesson, students and learners will be able to define and differentiate between cations and anions. They will be able to differentiate between molecular ion and free radicals. They will be able to explain about the representative particles and types of molecules. So without further delay, let's proceed to our main video lesson.
The important topics that we will cover in this video lesson are about chemical species. We will see a clear difference between cations and anions. Then I will explain about molecular ions and free radicals. Then we will discuss the types of molecules and representative particles. And we will see a difference between monatomic, diatomic, triatomic and polyatomic molecules with examples. At the end, I will provide you with a summary of all the topics that we will cover in this video lesson. First is about chemical species. Most of the matter is composed of molecules or ions. We can see around us there are so many types of substances which are molecules or ions. Ions can't be seen, but they are part of chemical reaction, and as a result of chemical reactions, ions are produced. You may see some more examples. And now let's divide chemical species into an order. Ions, which may include cations and anions, molecular ions and free radicals. Let's discuss one by one. Chemical species of several types and which include ions. It is an atom or group of atoms having a charge. So there are two types of ions, cations, a group of atoms or atom having positive charge on it, or atoms or group of atoms that has negative charge on it would be. You may see them in this example that I have provided over here. Calcium, it is a cation. You may see the positive charge. Then chlorine, which is anion. Now let's see what are their similarities and differences. So we will discuss them in points. Here you can see cations having positive charge on it while anions having negative charge on it. Cations are formed when an atom loses electrons from its outermost shells, while anions are formed by the addition or gain of electrons to an atom. Metal atoms generally loses one or more electrons to form cations, while non-metal atoms usually gain one or more electrons to form anions. It should be remembered that metals are concerned with the cations and non-metals will provide us anions. So metals will lose electron and they will form cation, and non-metals will gain electrons and they will form anions. Examples are there. You may see sodium and potassium. They have positive charge on them, so they are cations, while chlorine and oxygen have negative charges on them. They form anions. Now let's elaborate the formation of cations and anions. In case of cations formation, you can see atom usually loses one or two or more electrons to form cation. You can see here in case of hydrogen and sodium and calcium, while in case of anion formation there is addition of electron in the atom, the process that is presented over here. So it clearly shows that metal atoms loses electron to form cations, while non-metal atoms gains, or there may be addition of electron and there will be formation of anions. Now a question comes here which is very important, and it is part of your syllabus, that why an ion acquires a net positive or negative charge. Why is it so? So let's explain it with the help of some important examples. Like the example of sodium. Sodium has a nucleus of 11 protons and 12 neutrons. Thus its nucleus has total of plus 11 charge. How is it? We can further elaborate it. Around the nucleus in the ion are 10 electrons with the total charge of minus 10. As in previous classes you have learned that there are several particles of atom, and they may include electrons, protons, neutrons. Electrons will always have negative charge, while protons will have positive charge, and the charge on this ion is plus 1 and plus minus 10, so it becomes plus 1. So sodium will acquire plus 1 charge. It means sodium is a metal, it will lose 1 electron and there will be a plus 1 charge on it. Now you may also observe the example of a sulfide ion which has 16 proton charge and 18 electrons, so minus 18, and if you calculate it further, so net charge on the ion will be minus 2. Here you may see the anion formation. As sulfur atom, you can see it can accommodate 2 more electrons and it becomes sulfide. Now it's time for you to try yourself. Go through this topic in your textbook and explain why magnesium ion has a plus 2 charge and an oxide ion has minus 2 charge. There's a hint for you. You can see it, and I hope you will be able to solve this. Now the next topic is molecular ion. When a molecule loses or gains electrons, the resulting species will be molecular ion. It will be a short-lived species. It will remain alive for a short period of time and only exist at high temperature and do not form ionic compounds. So it is the result of loss or gain of electrons. Let's explain the molecular ion with the example of oxygen. As when oxygen loses an electron, it forms O2 plus ion, will be a cation, but when it absorbs an electron, it forms anion, O2 minus. Similarly, in case of nitrogen, it may form anion by the addition of 1 or more electrons, and it may form cation by the removal of electron. Now, what are free radicals? By the definition, it is an atom which has unpaired electrons and bears no electric charge. There will be no electric charge on it, and it is due to the unpaired electrons that are present in that atom. For example, when substances like halogens, they belong to group 7a family in the periodic table, they are exposed to sunlight, their molecules split up into free radicals that you can see over here in case of chlorine. Hydrogen is an example also. Now let's see a difference between ion and free radicals. In case of ion, atom or group of atoms having a charge, we know that, while free radicals are atoms or group of atoms having unpaired electrons, and ions can exist in the solution or crystal lattice form, while free radicals exist in solutions as well as in air. Ions cannot be produced with the help of light, and in case of free radicals, light may produce them. You can see their examples: chlorine and sodium in case of ions, and hydrogen and chlorine, an example of free radical. Now, let's go through the types of molecules and representative particles. There are usually 4 types of molecules: monatomic, diatomic, triatomic, and polyatomic molecules. Mono simply indicates 1, di means 2, and tri means 3, and poly means 2 or more than 2. In case of monatomic molecules, a molecule that contains only one atom, and you can see the examples: hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon. And diatomic molecule is a molecule that contains only 2 atoms. You can see hydrogen H2, so it simply shows that it consists of 2 atoms, and chlorine Cl2 represents that it has 2 atoms. In case of triatomic molecules, it will be a molecule that contains only 3 atoms. So carbon dioxide, water, carbon dioxide CO2, water H2O, and HCl are the best examples for triatomic molecules. In case of polyatomic molecules, a molecule that contains 2 or more similar or different atoms. You can see over here H2SO4 and C6H12O6. There is a variety, but there are so many number of atoms. Now let's explain further the concept of representative particles. It actually refers to species in a substance. These may be atoms, molecules, or formula units. For example, in this figure, you can observe the representative particles A, B, C, D, E, and F, and if you closely look at them, you will find that particle A, C, D, and E are elements, while B and F represents the particle of compound. Now it's time for you to solve this. Go through this figure, observe the given figure, and decide which diagram represents particles in an element, a compound.
Dear learners, let's summarize what we have learned in this video lesson. It is about chemical species. They may be ions, free radicals, or they may be molecular ions. And we have learned the definition of ion, which is atom or group of atom having a charge. In the meanwhile, we have also learned about the free radical, which is atom or group of atoms having unpaired electrons and bears no electric charge. Then we have also learned about the molecular ion, which is produced by losing or either gaining of electron by a molecule. And in the meanwhile, we have learned about the types of molecules, which are monatomic, diatomic, triatomic, and polyatomic molecules. Mono, di, tri, and poly represents the total number of atoms that molecule may consist of. And at the end, we have also learned about the term representative particles, which refers to species in a substance. They may be elements, they may be compounds, or formula units. I hope you have enjoyed my lesson, and please don't forget to practice those questions that I have mentioned in this video lesson.